conference will now be recorded.
Funny how that works, huh?
Yeah.
Hello, this is Karen Cook from the Home Modification Occupational Therapy Alliance-HMOTA, and we've got an exciting meeting today. We're very lucky to have Lisa Limper and Olivia here from Urban Polling to talk to us about fall prevention and urban polls. And I got to say, one thing I really love about them is they're aesthetically pleasing to look at, and I think people are more apt to be accepting of supports that are cool looking. So, but before we get into urban polling, I just want to go over HMOTA's objectives. Our objectives are to promote occupational therapists as leaders in the world of home modifications and to build our market with quality and consistency, and also to develop a lucrative business model for OT home mod businesses, including developing income streams and research. So tonight, part of our what we're going to have for our meeting is urban polling, which is something that can help with fall prevention, and it may be a tool that we would like in our belt. In fact, I haven't had time to discuss this with Lisa or Olivia, but hopefully we can get a discount on these, put them on our website so all of our membership would have access to ordering them whenever they want them, and to get a discount and just help build revenue streams within their own companies. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much again. Lisa and I are just thrilled to be here, and we'll both be presenting tonight,
Nice.
along with Jennifer. So you'll have three of us sort of moving through the presentation. But just to say, the company was founded in 2005 by an OT herself, actually, a gerontologist, and really saw the traditional walking poles, hiking poles, that type of thing, and really thought that there was a place for this, exactly based on what you've alluded to, that they could be tremendous as an age mobility and also representing more ability versus what perhaps some of the other devices sort of give off. And there's a time and a place for everything, certainly, but that is one of the reasons that we have had such tremendous success. And through that lens, everything that we have done is kind of through the lens of an OT, from a rehab perspective, wellness perspective, and within the realm of chronic disease intervention as well. And we do pride ourselves on the numerous partnerships that we've developed really all over the world, and specifically since we've been in the US market. And we're thrilled to be here with you tonight, another valued organization with a wonderful mission. So what is urban polling, also known as?
Your thing is not going. The slideshow is not going.
Oh, it's not moving. Oh,
No.
well, that's okay. So that's fun then. How would that be possible if I could come back here? Isn't that interesting? For me, it is moving. So let's see here.
It's still on the picture of Nina.
It's
So,
on Nina.
so sometimes, wow, I'm impressed you knew that was Nina. But sometimes when it gives you an option to share, you have to share a full screen and not just a window.
Oh,
If that gives you, if that's an option.
okay. So let me see if I just, let me stop sharing for a moment. And how about I reshare and see if that will.
I've done that exact same thing. So you think you're
Screen.
sharing and you're not.
Okay.
Like I said,
Well, I
technology
think it
is
just stopped me because I just kind of kept rolling there. Okay. Now let's see if you see that again. Are you guys seeing that?
So right now it's still, it's not in presentation mode. You can see the slides on the left-hand side.
There we go.
Okay. Is that in presentation mode now?
It is now. There we go.
Did that move?
Yes, there's you.
Okay, there I am. So that was me, my little blurb. Here are our partnerships. And now here we are. What is urban polling? So are you guys seeing three? You're seeing the picture, right? The three.
It is. It's good.
Wonderful. So we're good to go. So really, when you think about it, urban polling is like a combination of walking and cross-country skiing. So you're essentially using specialized poles and adding them to your walk. Why is that so beneficial? The value of walking is indisputable. Every doctor in the world recommends it as one of the best things you do to maintain your health. But that is fundamentally an aerobic training, which is great. When you add the poles, though, you now have resistance. So every time you're pushing through those handles that we have designed, every time you're pushing down, you're immediately activating core and upper body muscles. And that right there in and of itself is the sweet spot for any chronic disease intervention program where you have this combination of aerobic and anaerobic training. And that's the recommendation for every adult, is to have that combination weekly, at least 150 minutes. There are two different techniques. So you see the lady on the left in the pink, she's using the poles on the angle, and they're designed to propel her forward. So in a healthy and fit population with no major contraindications, concerns over balance, we're fine to give you a little push forward, therefore burning more calories, activating more muscles with every step. However, for those people that shouldn't be pushed, their balance is compromised, they have perhaps pain in certain areas where that technique would further aggravate, the activator technique and poles come into play. And you see the difference. They're always maintained out front. And the whole idea behind that is to promote stability and balance, fundamentally giving you 2 additional points of contact to help keep you upright, symmetrical, and naturally to prevent a fall. So this is just a wonderful video here of this gentleman named H, is from Florida, Tampa area. He actually came to our polls through the Tampa VA, the James Haley, and he has Parkinson's. And I'll just show you, these are videos that were shot by him and his wife, so very organic and raw, but you can just see the difference pre and post. So him walking without the poles.
Tell me when you're ready.
I'm going, I think.
And then the difference. And this is pretty typical what you see here, whether it be Parkinson's or another neurologic condition, or even for orthopedics to take the pressure off the joints. There's a distinct difference in gait, in movement, and overall confidence. And as you mentioned at the very beginning of the presentation, again, this is something that people actually want to use because it does represent ability. And the difference really, again, lies in the fact that these poles were designed through the lens of an occupational therapist. So very different features and benefits from what you would find on a typical walking or trekking pole, which is why we don't even really put ourselves in the same quadrant as trekking and hiking poles, because these are really above the rest. And all of the features and benefits that you see here, like the ergonomic handle, which I'll expand upon a little bit more, the weight-bearing capacity of up to 200 pounds per pole, the anti-vibration features, the fact that they are so versatile, so adjustable in length, and then the bell-shaped tips, really importantly, for that additional surface area and help to keep you upright. And really, it's these ergonomic handles that are so key. They are designed with a right and a left. Most aren't. There's varying options in terms of your grip. So while the natural grip is what you see there, you can also use the palm. So curling your hand over the top for an alternate grip. If you, let's say, have some arthritis in your hands and you feel like you need that different support just for that particular moment. And so much so, the differences in these features and benefits are such that we were actually approved as part of the ease of use program under the Arthritis Foundation. And in order to get that approval, you have to have your product vetted and in comparison to other like products. So this was done second or third year when we emerged into the US market. And really, it just speaks to and highlights the difference between these and other types of poles that you might find. All of these features I've just discussed, but just as an overview as well. And then just to share, this is a gait assessment lab that we had done a few years ago at one of the local universities here in Canada. This subject is 88 years old. She's basically bionic. She's had 2 shoulder replacements, 2 hips, 2 knees. She's fused through the cervical spine. She has an old ankle injury. So she really was in need of a mobility device, and she was using the activator poles. You can see her on the left there, and how much she's swinging her arms to be able to compensate to help keep her balance. You can see her pattern, her sort of toe heel as opposed to heel toe on the left there. She's very constricted because, again, she's nervous about falling. Whereas you see her on the right, all of a sudden she has that beautiful heel toe pattern in place. I'll just play that side again. You can see she's so much more confident in her walk. Her gait has improved, and all of the statistics measured also improved. So you can see the difference in her speed. It improved by 37%. Her step length, which is, as we all know, the shorter the step length, the higher risk of a fall, increased by 62%. Her stride width decreased by 25 centimeters. Gait variability of 117 versus previous at 136, and her cadence actually decreased by 15%. So significant difference, but while so much of what we do is focused on gait and balance and support, there is an entire role for the poles as part of a seated, standing, pre-gait sort of exercise sequence in which certainly balance is still supported, but also from a seated perspective, you're still building your core muscles, your upper body muscles, and improving flexibility through movement as well. And so there's many, many options, not just for walking, although that is obviously a focus. So I now want to turn it over to Lisa, who will take you through the next portion of the presentation. And Lisa, just let me know when you'd like me to move the slide and I'll advance for you.
Thank you. I came upon urban polling through a continuing education class in 2019, right before I had hip replacement surgery. And so used the poles to get ready for my surgery and then as rehab afterwards, and fell in love with them and still use them to this day. I saw there was a question about the different tips on the poles. You can change out once, if someone has a condition where they're going to get better and can use the propulsion of the boot tips, they're welcome to do that. But the bell-shaped tips are the ones that provide the most stability. And so use them, like I said, before and after the hip surgery, and then use the boot-shaped tips for fitness to this day. So it's a tool that lasts for a very long time. I have used my set of poles with my clients. I'm a personal trainer. You're going to get to see one of my clients here in just a second. And they have held up amazingly well over 6 years. The only thing I've had to do is change out the tips. So why are these poles good? Deanna's talked about a bunch of the reasons, but you improve your stability, you improve mobility, you improve your posture. I always say that the most common word when somebody has the poles in their hand for the first time is "oh," because it's such a difference in what they're expecting. And if they've ever used traditional hiking poles, the difference in the handle itself and the stability and the way your core immediately works and the way your posture immediately straightens up is remarkable. Go ahead and change the next. So this is my client, George. I worked with George for a long time. He also is basically bionic. He has had, I'm going to let it play and then not talk over it. George himself said he walked like a penguin, and he honestly did until the poles were in his hands, and it completely changed his gait. And he still uses these as well. And one of the things that he said that a lot of people say is, well, they don't look like an assistive device. I don't feel like, I'm walking with a cane or anything like that. They look sporty. And so people really appreciate that as well. You can do the next one. So there are many applications. Again, they work on stability and balance, strength, because you're pressing through the poles and using your core and upper body muscles. You end up using about 90% of the muscles in your body. One of the big things, though, is mood and sense of well-being. with people, when people are not able to exercise, we know what that does to their mood. If they've got a limiting factor like Parkinson's or something like that, uh, to be able to get out and walk or walk around their house or do things with their spouse or their caregiver uh, increases their sense of well-being so much. Uh, you can go ahead and change. So one of our biggest audiences are older adults who need help with balance for whatever reason, whether it's an arthritis issue or a neurological issue. Um, but they've done studies that show that Nordic walking, basically and back to that first slide with the woman in the pink, she's doing traditional Nordic walking where those poles are at an angle. The activator technique is modified Nordic walking where the poles are in the front, but they're both of some sort of Nordic walking. And so all the studies, there are many studies, I think 300, Deanna, on Nordic walking, and then a number on the activator itself. And over, it showed that the aerobic endurance, balance, functional mobility, strength are all improved by using poles. Here's another video. This is this woman walking with her poles versus walking with her walker. And you can see what it does with her posture. And again, we talked about mental health. Chronic diseases can be very isolating. So for the poles to be able to, for people to be able to participate in life, this can be life-changing for them. So what we love about the poles most of all, though, is that it's one tool, but there are many uses. There are community programs who use them, so YMCAs, JCCs, recreation centers, to being used in clinics all over North America, to in-home patient care. If there are classes, they can be incorporated in any existing class, just about. People use them often in fall prevention program or balance classes, indoor and outdoor walking groups, diabetes prevention. And then with the YMCAs, they're starting to do some medical community partnerships in collaboration with doctors and allied healthcare providers. You can see some of the settings there. Thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Jennifer.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, my name is Jennifer Trevino. I'm an occupational therapist, been one for a long time, over 25 years now. Out in Tampa, Florida area, I am a member of the Florida Falls Prevention Coalition. That's how I actually came across the urban poles. They're wonderful tools. I can't wait to talk a little bit more about them, but how I use them, I work in mobile outpatient. So I go see clients in their homes. I do home mods, consultations, and I just, enjoy putting these things together because that's the difference between OTs going into the home and contractors going into the home to assess the clients. We're looking at not only the home, but we're looking at the person. You can go to the next slide. Awesome. Okay. So in my opinion, using these activator poles, they're wonderful devices. They're easy to transport. They can be used anywhere. I keep them in my trunk when I'm going to see clients. I pull them out, hang on to them. They're lightweight. They can be used almost anywhere. And so I think of my clients when I go into their homes and I see them moving around, no problem using their walker, using their cane. And then they get to the bathroom and they don't quite have enough space. So they park the walker outside the bathroom because it doesn't fit, or they don't want to try and walk sideways. And so you may be in there doing the assessment thinking, you probably want to widen your bathroom, open up the space a little bit more. But in the meantime, you see them hanging onto the vanity. They're hanging onto the walls. They're hanging onto the towel bars. I mean, it's just screaming fall risk all day long. And so how can we keep them safe in addition to make those recommendations in their space to help keep the environment supporting them? We also know, as you saw in the slides before, that it promotes that upright posture and balance and gives that balance support. It provides a wider base of support. So you think about the clients, we talk about uneven terrain. I always think about my clients with their throw rugs that they're not willing to give up, or steps, or what we consider clutter, but it's really just their treasures that they keep in their home that they're not willing to give up. And so again, they're trying to move around the space because they can't quite clear the space with their walker or their cane. You see their hands on the wall, the handprints on the wall, or they're hanging onto the furniture. Again, how can we give them the right tools to fit in their space? Because if they want to stay in their home, we want to keep them in their home. For me, a big thing as an OT is giving them that increased confidence in their mobility. They're not sure about moving if they've had any type of fall or near fall, or they're not really using their equipment yet. The activator poles kind of fill in, giving that safer, that sense of security. So if we know that they're not moving, if they're apprehensive about how they move, we know that it's kind of walking them down the road to potentially falling. And so again, we're looking at that person in their space. What are they thinking? That fear of falling that's going to hold them back. If we can give them any tools beyond just the things in their space, whether it's the grab bars or lighting or whatnot, if we can help improve them and increase their confidence and reduce their fear, they're going to move around in their space so much better. So again, then it's safer than standard, the walking poles that you saw earlier. I mean, this offers so many more stability features and ergonomic features, you know, the strapless handles, the anti-vibration features, the bell-shaped tips, they all add to the client's sense of comfort with these. Whether they've ever seen them before or not, when you put them in their hands, they tell me instantly that they feel comfortable before they even try to stand up with it. And so that alone helps them be willing to try something different. And then again, if you're in there for the assessment, whether you're doing the home mods assessment or just an occupational therapy assessment in the home, it helps to facilitate them feeling more comfortable, because they say they want to stay in their home. They tell you that they're comfortable in their home, but we know as OTs what it really takes to help keep them safe and function optimally in their space. They're not always going to listen to everything that we're recommending, but you know, if we can help improve their mobility with the activator poles without adding too much equipment initially, maybe they'll be open to adding a little bit more equipment in their home. We know that this will help increase their safety. It allows you to accurately identify the specific areas that they need the support in their home for improved function and safety. And so again, that helps just open the client's mind in terms of what will help keep me safe in this space. They're definitely more aware of what's going on. The diagnoses that benefit from this, I mean, it ranges anywhere from neurological, orthopedic, chronic condition, cardiac, generalized weakness, deconditioning, if they have any sense of fall history. Honestly, because I work with so many older adults primarily, they have multiple conditions. They've had a stroke and they have heart conditions. They have arthritis and Parkinson's. I mean, because they're going in with so many of these conditions, a lot of the time, they'll benefit from it. And if I'm questioning whether or not they're going to be safe with it or not, I bring it in at the sitting level. I don't have to bring it in to automatically stand up. But as long as they're starting to feel comfort and starting to build that confidence with it, we know that they're going to benefit from it. Next slide, please. So where the OT is going in, how do we look at it from an OT lens? So we're looking at their motor performance, their gait mechanics. Again, looking at the lady walking with a walker versus walking with the poles, her mechanics. there's no upper body, there's no trunk involved. She's just rigid. And so we know that that alone is changing how they're moving in their space. If we can give them better tools for that, why not? You know, we're looking at their cognition. How are they sequencing? Can they manage more than one thing in their space in order to stay safe in their home? Where is their attention? Are they aware of safety in their space, or do they just take things for granted because they're in their home? So these polls really help to give them that tools to engage their body, to increase their awareness in their movement. We know that they're able to then take an active role in their health versus just passive by putting equipment alone in their home and thinking that's going to keep them safe and keep them from falling. We want them to be active in their health. So looking at it from the home modifications context, these poles can be used everywhere, inside and outside the home. And so I find it's helpful to look at them in their space in the home, especially in the hallways that may be narrow, looking at them in the bathrooms where they're potentially not able to bring their walkers or just continuously park the cane outside the door. We want to make sure that we're looking at their transitions, their sit to stands, the short walks within their home. When you think about looking at them in their kitchen and they park their walker on the side because I'm just turning around to go to the refrigerator and grab something, so I don't need anything, but you know that they're not steady on their feet. How can we give them something to steady themselves that they're going to feel comfortable using in their own space? And again, we can integrate that with fall prevention, whether it's the grab bars, the improved lighting, trying to remove some of the clutter and trip hazards. There's so many more tools out there that we can give to clients beyond just the actual equipment in the space of their home. But if we're not assessing the person and the tools that they may need, we're kind of missing the mark as the OTs in the home modification space. We want to make sure that we're really meeting them and their space while we're there to assess them. Next. All right, so beyond walking, the benefits are immense. As you can see from the slides before, it encourages their cardiac function, their strength function. The poles, they can help put pressure into it and feel stronger. They feel steadier. Again, it's building that mental confidence more than anything else to reduce their fear of falling. We want to make sure that not only are we keeping them safe in their space, we're keeping them active so they have quality of life in their space. We want them to enjoy living in their home, not just sitting in a space and from room to room. We want to make sure that we're incorporating these things into their daily routine. We want them to be more active, but how can they be more active if they're hesitant and fearful? So if we can integrate it with whether it's their exercise routines or their just everyday activities, we can just keep them functioning at a higher level, which is ultimately our goal with them living in the community and living in their home. So how are we as OTs going in and training, educating them? We know we're in there for a short time if we're just doing the home audits assessment, but while we're in there assessing them, we're assessing the person and the space. And so we're assessing their balance, their endurance, their cognition, their environment. We want to make sure that we're fitting, again, the person to the space, but we're improving the person and the space. That's what helps us separate ourselves from the crowd of people that do home safety assessments or home modifications assessments. So we want to look at the fits of the pole. There's adjustments on the pole, and on the grip, it's marked right and left. It couldn't get any easier for people. So we want to make sure that we're showing them that and training, just like you measure and size the walker or the cane. We want to size the activator poles as well. And in the process, then we're training them. So it may require that you go back beyond the home mods assessment in order to teach them how to sequence it properly when they're up and moving. If we're working on it, moving around in their home and community, are they pacing themselves properly? Are they putting proper pressure through the poles to really utilize that upper body and trunk in their gaits? And then also, are we educating the family? Are we educating the caregivers so that they feel safe? That it's different. They look at them and they see it. It's different than the walker or the cane, and they may be a little fearful because it's not something they're familiar with. So how do we help them feel comfortable and also be able to provide that support to their loved one so that they see the benefit of it, that they see they're using it more, that they see that they're more safe and confident in their space and just in their everyday life and how they move. So I have a lady, Mrs. C, she's so cute, 78 years old, and she has chronic low back pain. She's had multiple falls, knee hurt her back, hurt her bottom. I mean, she's just of all risk. And so she was in bed when I first met her. She didn't want to get out of bed because every time she moved, it was pain. And so when she got up, she was so stiff. She was clutching to her walker. She relied on that walker like it was holding her up more than she was holding herself up. And so she was a little hesitant to try something different. But once I sat her down, started playing with the poles in a sitting position, she started feeling more comfortable. She could see that she was sitting more upright. She was holding herself up better. It wasn't as challenging. And so when we looked at her space and we could make the modifications for the bed rail, for the grab bars in the bathroom, for better lighting, we cleared up her space. We made sure she was safe. She started walking with it. She started feeling more comfortable. And my biggest win with her was that her anxiety reduced. Walking around in her space. After all those falls, she was so hesitant with everything. But using the activator poles, she just moves with confidence. And you can just see in her body when she moves how wonderful it is that she's just relaxed, at ease. She can move around comfortably in her home and she's not stuck in that bed where she was fearful of her apartment. I mean, it's not even a big space, but it's just amazing to see the difference. And she herself will tell you, you know, I feel so much more confident. And if there's something she's not sure of, she'll tell you, I'll try. She's willing to try that she was never willing to do. Her family is in awe. They were able to take her out for her birthday this year. They were like, I don't know what you did. You're a magician, because she can get out. She's happy. She's living life again. And so it's like a miracle. So it's just wonderful. So some things we want to consider, obviously, we're there for safety. So it may not be your replacement for a walker or a cane when they need higher level support. You have someone with Parkinson's and you know that they're still going to use the walker. But that's not to say that we can't still incorporate it into their workout routine, into their sitting balance, helping to strengthen their core and their upper body. We want to, obviously, no matter what you have in hand, you still want to avoid the clutter of the rugs indoors. And so we're trying to make sure that while they're still moving safely with the activator poles, we're still trying to reduce any of the safety risks. Are they wearing the correct footwear? Do they have good lighting? How are they moving around in their space? Are they rushing and throwing themselves to sit down? Or are they moving about safely and confidently? Again, one more reason to use the pole so that they can feel that confidence as they're moving. And then it may require ongoing occupational therapy monitoring for progression or regression. You know, as they tell you they're good with it, you may check back with them and see that, you know, X, Y, or Z has changed in their health. And again, you may be working on their balance again from a sitting perspective before we go back to the standing perspective. But it's just helping them feel that confidence in the way they move and knowing that they're physically stronger to handle these things and have better quality of life as they move around. To me, the poles make a world of difference. So I feel like as OTs, we walk in with our toolbox, not just an actual physical toolbox, but our mental toolbox of things that we walk in to help them prevent those falls. So how are we as occupational therapists separating ourselves from other people that go in and do home modifications? We're looking at the person, we're looking at the space. So not only are we doing the passive things, putting things in their space, the grab bars, the rails, you know, changing their seats, making sure everything's safe for them, we're looking at the person. How are we incorporating the physical activity? How are we increasing their everyday routine? How are we increasing their active, you know, exercise space? How can we incorporate the poles so that we can keep them stronger, especially incorporating that weak trunk where they just flop down and you see them and they can't understand why they can't stand tall. These help so much. So again, it's bringing it in and training the clients and the caregiver so that they can carry it out into their everyday routine. So I want you to just think when you go in as an occupational therapist, whether it's going into the home as the OT or going in as the home mods consultant, consider using the activator poles because it will help increase their mobility, it will help increase their strength, and most importantly, as an OT, increasing their confidence, reducing that fear of falling so that they can really move about in their space and feel comfortable and enjoy moving. So for me, looking at it as an occupational therapist, using the poles is best when you're pairing it with occupational therapy and the home modification. So you're looking at it from the active perspective and the passive perspective.
So Jennifer, when you bring these in, do you typically, sell them to your clients?
I
How does
don't
that work?
sell them, but I give them, the link to go online or help the family, usually order them for them so that we can work out with them while we're doing the therapy, or so that they know where to get it from.
Nice. Okay.
Hmm.
And then Jennifer, do you do a Part B business, a Medicare Part B? Are you doing quite a bit
Yeah,
of that?
a hybrid. I do Part B and private pay.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. And just to say, we have a full quadrant of education to support allied health professionals such as OTs to be able to embrace the program. And the course is about 4 hours. You can do it on demand. We also offer virtual live. And it's something that really rounds out the full spectrum of usage. It also elaborates on the evidence. We've obviously just tried to give you a short snippet here. And Jennifer's presentation really hits home on the practical application. But if any of you are interested, we did create a coupon code for your organization. And this is before, sorry, we spoke to you about any of other discounts or anything you'd like to do. We're happy to support you, but we can follow up with this afterwards as well, just so you have it. And certainly with respect to professional pricing, we have experience working with numerous professionals, organizations, as well as individuals. And so we're very happy to support you in any capacity. That's Lisa and my contact info there. There's also our info @ just for general emails or questions. And as I mentioned, we're just very happy to help and really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. And if there are any other questions, we're happy to answer them. Otherwise, we can also take them via email. You have our contact info.
Deanna, there's questions up in the corner if you see the little chat box.
Oh, sorry. You know what? I can't see it because I'm right in the full screen here. Let me see.
So
Okay.
I can ask you them. Are they covered by insurance, and how much do they cost?
Yes. So under flex spending and health spending, they can use those accounts to purchase them. Some therapists have had success with getting insurance coverage, private insurance coverage. It really depends on, to be honest, the quality of the prescription and how they're putting them through. We can't say it as a blanket approach because, as we've noted, there are many different types of walking poles, trekking poles, and such out there, and they are not all created equal in the space of, the mobility aid that these truly are. So from that capacity, that covers that. And then in terms of if they were to go, let's say on Amazon or on our website, the standard activators are $124.99 for the pair. And then there's also other, types of poles, but that's kind of the base price that you'll also see in like a CVS or some of other retailers.
How are these poles used if they are stepping backwards or walking backwards?
Great question, Jennifer. I don't know if you have experience and want to elaborate on that. I know we've had many therapists use them, in both.
Yeah, we practice forward and backward all the time because we want to make sure that they're, especially on the turns, we know that's where they tend to be weaker. If they're backing up, they have any issues, Parkinson's, walking backwards, neurological issues. So personally, because I have a Part B practice, I do additional therapy a lot of the time with people past the home mod assessments. And so we practice the forward and backward. Again, you're just using the poles. Same thing like our forward stride, we just reverse that. And initially we may have a smaller stride length, but the more confident they get with it, forward and backward are basically about the same.
Thank you.
Bridget asks, are they height adjustable? And what is the recommended height for a user?
So they're completely height adjustable. And the way that you want to set up your client is when the poles are perpendicular to the ground, their elbow is in line with their wrist, essentially. So that's how you know that you've got it in the correct spot. And the course does, cover off more of this, but there's also instructions on our website under Getting Started for how to effectively set up the polls as a quick reference guide. That may be helpful as well.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Olavi, would you like to just ask her?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for such a lovely, useful presentation. I'm an OT working in the home health setting. A lot of times physical therapy is also on the case, and in that situation, would it have to be the physical therapist who introduces this as an avenue to the patient? Um, if it's strictly gait related or safety and ambulation before the OT can use it in functional tasks.
In our experience, we've had many OTs over the years embrace this, and oftentimes they are first point actually of recommendation, even over a PT. Jennifer, I don't know about your experience, but we've certainly, we have both using and recommending quite consistently.
Yeah, I think that's the joy of this, that you can bring it in as the OT, because even if the PT is working on them with mobility, you're doing it with functional tasks. Again, I always think of my people that have the walker, they've been working on it with the PT, and then they park it outside the bathroom door. I mean, so what are they doing then? At that point, they have nothing. And so you're trying to give them the right tools that they feel confident moving everywhere in their space. And so it's something that definitely helps incorporate into their functional tasks as an OT. So there's no reason that you couldn't introduce that.
I guess I was wondering more about the logistics of it. Like just literally this morning, I had this exact patient you mentioned, the scenario where she leaves the walker outside the bathroom and walks holding on to the furniture into the bathroom because it's tiny. But so at this juncture, if I were to want to try the urban polling with this patient, would I have to run that by the PT first? Because, they are technically working with her on her mobility in terms of just the walking, the ambulation piece of it.
I would say it's helpful to talk to the PT, because the more they're able to use it, the more confident they're going to get with it. It's confusing when they're using two devices. Again, I defer to the PT as far as if they feel like, their balance isn't strong enough to support just using the poles as of yet. If they can work on training with them as well, then that will help. But again, it's pointing it out that you're increasing their safety in all of the functional spaces in their home, because it's great that they can walk with them, all over the house, kitchen, living room, bedroom, but then they get to the bathroom and they're not able to use it. I mean, are we serving them well in the long run by giving them a temporary device? Basically, we're not giving them a full device that they can use everywhere in the home. So if we can get them strong enough and help improve their gait mechanics as a PT, I don't see why they would say not to use it.
That makes perfect sense. Just one follow-up question. In terms of carrying their belongings, a lot of times those rollators kind of come in handy to them, where they can store stuff in the basket or, put something on the top of the seat. Since this is a bilateral, integration of the support, have you navigated in the home situation where someone who lives alone has to bring their mug of, coffee, and they are using this as the assistive device for the gate?
Yes, I have. Depending on what they want to do with it, if they want to carry their mug of coffee, I mean, kind of like using a cane, depending on what their balance is, we may just go and use the one as opposed to the two, for a short distance, and probably slide it along the counter as far as they can while they're carrying, or potentially have something in hand, not necessarily for the cup of coffee, but for smaller things, or like tissues or other things they like to keep a small bag that you can keep along with them and carry it like a like a shopping bag or something.
I mean, I appreciate that response because, those are the scenarios we navigate with them, showing them the relay method. And so I just wanted to know that it was okay to use this as a unilateral support, that it doesn't have to be both at the same time all the time.
Yes, I have used it as unilateral.
Thank you very much.
I placed our contact information and the course discount and link in the chat also for you.
If there are no other questions, just thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. We really appreciate it, and we're certainly available for any questions or support going forward. And thank you, Jennifer, for your presentation, and really, really helpful, I think, for everybody to see someone that's in their exact field using them so successfully. So we really appreciate your time as well.
My pleasure.
Yeah. That was a wonderful presentation, and I do love, how you brought Jennifer in, and it was really great hearing your expertise, Jennifer, and Lisa and Olivia as well. But that is exciting for us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for coming on such short notice too. I appreciate that. Sorry about the confusion.
No problem at all. Thank you. So we'll leave you for the rest of your meeting, but again, appreciate being here.
Yeah, thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much. You too.
So for the rest of our meeting, we're going to be just talking about business models. And it's something I really want to go over with everyone. And we may push this out and have another business model conversation. I'm hoping that we can make this a conversation where everybody really discusses, what they're doing and what works and what doesn't work. So let me see if I can get out of this. Oh, so, oopsie daisy. So I wanted to show you, as many of you know, I think it was, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, these entrepreneurs that have been very successful, they're all CEOs of companies, many of them are retired, some of them were not, came and talked to us about, what do we want for business? How can we help make your market better? They were really studying the aging in place market. And I feel like we as OTs are so much more than aging in place. But what they were really studying was the aging in place market. They asked if we would take this poll. So many of you did. Thank you so much for that. And they asked questions that they felt could really get to the heart of what we as OTs need to be more successful. And they also studied they studied a couple different business models. And they study business models with OTs for aging in place. Interior designers is leading aging in place. Not a lot of physical therapists, from what I understand, but they really kind of look to see nurse practitioners, who should be the leaders in home modifications for people who want to age in place. And they came to the conclusion that occupational therapists are the most qualified professionals to lead the aging in place movement and figuring out what needs to be done in the home. Not big news to us. And as I told them, there's a lot of research supporting what we do in fall prevention, increased function, decreased hospitalization, to go along with the information that they've just been trying to figure out. So, but what they were looking at more as far as HMOTA goes is something more of how can we help these occupational therapists create stronger businesses and make more money as OT businesses working in the aging in place space. So these are the questions they asked. How important is growing your practice over the next 1 to 2 years? For most of us, it's very important. If you wanted more clients, where would they most likely come from? Word of mouth was by far the highest. Physician referrals, online search. I get a little bit from online search, but I find word of mouth works best for me as well. Although I have had social media campaigns that I used to do, and that did bring in quite a bit of business as well. So if anybody wants to talk about any of this, just go ahead and stop me. What are the biggest challenges you face in getting new clients? No clear referral network. Knowing how to bill for service, that's a big one, especially with Medicare. I feel like it just throws a monkey wrench in everything. Not enough time to market, limited marketing skills, and lack of a website or online presence. And one of the things these guys were thinking of offering HMOTA membership was like a templated website, so you could just use that to, plug and play your business. I'm going to go into all of those responses. If you gain more clients, what would make it difficult to handle the extra business? Biggest thing, scheduling and time management. 40% said they could handle more business without issues, which is wonderful. Space equipment limitations was a very small thing, I assume, since we don't usually have to have our own brick and mortar building. Lack of operational systems, I know that's a big one for me. So this was very interesting. I was hoping that maybe they could give us some solutions for some of the problems that they identified with this poll. Have you ever tried to recruit or train additional staff? Most of us have not tried. Some said yes, but it was difficult. Very small amounts said yes, and it was successful. If you needed to grow your team, could you do it alone? No, I would need help. No, but I have resources that could help me. Or yes, I feel good about recruiting and hiring. Again, they're really looking for, how we're running our businesses and, what they could do to help. Which of these do you use in your practice? Most of us do not have anything. 62% do not have client relationship management, billing software, online booking, or practice management software. But it is nice to get things set up so they're automated and it's easy. If your business doubled or otherwise grew substantially, which do you think you'd want to put in place that you might not have now? Practice management software. If we're not billing insurance, that's not such a big deal. Online booking system, billing software, client relationship management, or none of those. And as you can see right here, I want simple user-friendly systems, more staff, virtual assistant. I have a virtual assistant. It worked really well until she got pregnant. She's having a lot of trouble keeping things where they're supposed to be, but it is what it is. Do you have a website or online profile that helps you attract clients? This was yes, most of us do. Most of us feel it needs improvement, or 40%. Yes, and it works well. And no, I don't have one. And again, online is nice because that's how people find you quite often. If they know what to search for, and if we put the right search terms in, so our SEO is good. Do you use Facebook, Instagram, or other social media tools to promote your businesses? Yes, it works well. A little, but would like to do more. And no, but would like to. So just a quick thing about that, and I'm sure everybody's going to be like, oh, of course. But Facebook's the best way to reach older adults. They're most often on Facebook. LinkedIn is good for business to business. And I feel like with us building our businesses, it's good to do, to market to the masses, but marketing business to business is a really easy way and low hanging fruit as far as developing referral sources for ourselves. And what do you want help with right now? Marketing and training and business operations training. And so those are some things we're going to look into developing here, so to give you some resources. Practice support software, marketing training, website design services. How would you like to receive help. Live training session was the biggest, and one-on-one consulting was the second, and then third, self-paced online courses. And then this was more my question than theirs. Which of the following would you like to add to your business, either to refer out or add as one of your business offerings that HMOTA could provide seamlessly to you? So ramp design and installation, we have that already set up. If you have a ramp, we can put in a ramp anywhere in the United States. What we would do is quote the ramp for your client, and then you get a percentage off of that. So that way you could make like 20% or something like that towards the ramp. Stair lift, vertical platform lift installation, of course, adaptive equipment, which I feel like that's everywhere. But the other thing that we could be really good at and that we should be doing is accessible fixtures such as stylish grab bars, wheelchairs, accessories, accessible sinks. Nobody's really cluing into that part of the market. And the thing is, we as OTs know if the sink's too deep or if it's plumbed in the middle, then you can't get your legs under it. What kind of faucets work best? Let's make it aesthetically pleasing, because then people are more apt to agree to have it in their homes. So we need to do much more with that. And we will be working on bringing more of that in. It just hasn't been organized enough to get on the website.
Hey, Karen, can I interrupt you for a
Mhm.
minute? This is Bridget.
Yeah,
When
sure.
it comes to like the ramp design and the stair lifts, I guess I don't know how to find this on HMOTA's website. Like I just can't find that and get you
Yeah.
what you need. So I guess I'm still waiting for your wheelchair or your ramp specs and stuff like that. So I might need a HMOTA website education.
Yeah, and I'm paying someone right now to redo our website. The thing is we're also working on developing a different program so that way OTs can launch it in their area. It's a sort of a business to business thing and it's just a revenue stream for your business model based on a program. So we'll get more into that. But so if you go to homota.net,
Mm-hmm.
and if you hover over occupational therapists, see, it's not put together well. And so I'm excited for them to get to this website. So if you go to this, you see lift and ramp evaluation downloads. You click on that, and then it's got the stair lift evaluation, the wheelchair ramp evaluations, those sorts of things.
Okay. And
But
so
it's hard to find. If you
do
really need something, call, and you can't find it, let me know.
okay. And then again, this is an odd question, but how do I know if I'm a member of HMOTA that I can see this?
Okay, so this is just the HMOTA website.
Okay.
And this is the public facing one. We've
Oh,
got HMOTA, HMOTA.org, and that's our membership site. And
okay.
on this, and I need to work on developing this as well. This has all of our old meetings on it. It's got
Oh,
different events. People, will write things on here. Here's things about Gail's course. So there's a lot of different things on this. And then they've got different things specifically on business development. There's all the different groups right here, home mod processes, how it all works, that kind of thing. Custom
so
accessible design.
okay. So I guess I'm not even sure. Like, am I formally a member so that I can see this? Like, how do we know if we're
So to be formally a member would be to go to the homota.org site,
okay?
and then you have to sign up. And I
Okay.
think it's like $5 a month.
Okay.
And then that way you get access to this content, which we're going to
Okay.
be building out as we start building out the entire website. We're finally getting a lot more organized, and it's because we've had a big influx of cash over the last couple years, which is
Sure.
nice.
Okay. No, thank you for this because I'm like, I don't even know where I am and how
I
to.
know, I know. I feel like it's more important that we're working together to build our market than it
Yeah.
is that people are paying to be part of this. But at the same time, it makes it a whole lot, there's a lot of work that goes into this. So Every
Sure.
little bit helps.
Karen,
Yeah.
there are wonderful prior education conferences that are posted on that website that I would love to access, but it looks like they're old and they're no longer there. Is there any way,
Oh,
because you had one on sinks, you had one on all kinds of great things, but they're just not, you can't read them
yeah.
or listen to them anymore.
Some of the older ones, yeah. And so I'm setting them up and I need to go back and reset those up because they expired. I was launching them off of the GoToMeeting platform. So yeah, I need to get back onto that.
Or else could you do additional like learning
Oh,
ones
yeah.
on sinks and you've got a couple on there that are old and I wasn't a member at that time and I would love to listen to them or get new information.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I'm happy to do one. I mean, sinks and bathtub or showers, how to, everybody always does the same thing. So yeah, we can definitely revisit those. We usually do those in the spring. In fact, a lot of times we'll do like another lead OT course, especially as things are growing. We're getting a lot going on with that. But yes, thank you for asking, Kim. That's not Kim Moore by any chance, is it?
Now, Kim Easton.
Kim Easton. Okay, thanks. All right. So I'm sorry that we're not going to I really don't know how much I want to dive into the business models. We'll go over that a little bit today, but I think we're going to have to go. I wanted a lot more time to talk about them. And so let's see, here it is. I wanted a lot more time to talk about the business model because there's a lot to go into. Um, So these, I'll just go over it and then we'll talk about it in more detail later. There's several different kinds of business models that people are using in this space. And it was really nice to listen to Jennifer. Jennifer's been around HMOTA for at least 5 or 6 years now, if not longer. But it sounds like she's predominantly using the Medicare B business model. I think that is a really good business model for people. You can't just if you just want to do OT home evaluations and nothing else, that's a part-time job. That's not something that you're going to be able to leave your full-time job and do full-time and make enough money to pay the bills if you're just doing the home evaluations. Um, I'm a big fan of doing the home evaluations, accessible construction, or accessible design, custom accessible design, and construction. For the custom accessible design, I often hire architects or designers to work with me on projects because I'm an OT. I don't always have that design, I don't know, gene. I don't have the training. I will do accessible bathroom design just because that's a lot simpler. And, many times you don't have to move a wall to do it. Um, But as far as bigger designs, like for instance, right now we're still, it's been taking forever, designing a home from the ground up in Rhode Island for a severely impaired child. And we got that from somebody who is running a trust for severely impaired kids. And so when she contacted me, I told her, oh yes, for sure, we can do that. And then hired an architect, just did the research and hired an architect. And so one thing too, I just want to say, as different opportunities come your way, and they will, if you don't have the skills, hire somebody who does, because it'll do nothing but grow your business. The first time we designed an addition here in Michigan, the word got out, and then all of a sudden we had a lot of people asking us to do design. It's mainly bathrooms or just basic interior design as far as making things accessible. But we did get a few more um, additions as well. And we do quite a bit of addition design for attorneys as well, personal injury attorneys, just to help them put a cost for what home modifications would be to help with the settlements. So, but again, pull somebody in who has the skills that you need. Um, So then there's the OT home mod private pay. That's a that's a hard one because of Medicare. As we all know, we have to bill Medicare primarily. Um, and that's for the aging in place population. If for the OT home mod private pay, I really like to focus on severely impaired children, people with Parkinson's, people with all kinds of other issues. Kidney failure is a big one as far as home mods and fall prevention. There's just a lot of other things that we are really good at that we can do, and we don't have to touch that older population. Again, my big concern with older population is Medicare. I will do some occupational therapy, I call them OT design consultations, where, we're still looking at how the person moves in their environment and then, put together the designs for them. And, part of that's adaptive equipment and that sort of thing. There's several people that do the hybrid model, which I think is Medicare B and private pay. Not sure how that works. It's my understanding that if you do an OT evaluation or working with someone through Medicare B, you are not allowed to sell them urban poles or anything, any other services or products. And maybe somebody else can weigh in on that. I think that's the Stark Law, which doesn't really apply to us. It's supposed to apply to physicians, but I think it could apply to us. So I don't think it's something we should be doing if you're working with Medicare. Again, I'm just going to go over this briefly, and then I'd like to talk about it in more detail at a different time. The men who met with us, I don't know if you remember them, Herb and Sean, after they saw our poll and gave it a lot of thought, what they decided was the best way for occupational therapists to build a business for aging in place is do the OT evaluation for free, and then have the construction aspect of that to pay for the OT services. So what they looked at in particular was Oakley, Justin Oakley, who's awesome, man. Oakley, I can't remember what the name of his company is, Oakley Construction or Oakley Accessibility, something like that. But what they really looked at was what his business model is, and he put together, I think he put together like a franchise for it. And basically with that, you give away the OT evaluation. So anybody who wants an OT evaluation gets one for free, but then you sell them the turn and burn kind of stuff, which is they are doing home or bathroom modifications in some areas, which I think they probably do very well with. But they also do a lot of ramps and a lot of stair lifts. Go ahead, Marlene.
I was just responding that if it's wellness and prevention, then that's fine. But you can't do a free eval if it's a Medicare patient.
Yeah, so I don't know how he's doing it. I know that his business model is you get the OT evaluation for free and then you pay for the construction.
So then it must be more like for prevention and planning to age in place as opposed to an active health condition.
I would bet they get a lot of reactive people coming through their doors. So I feel you. I hear you.
It's just, I feel like Medicare is such a two-edged sword because we're not allowed to opt out. So
Right. Well, and Herb and Sean's felt like by trying to charge for the OT evaluations, we're throwing up a barrier for people who are aging in place to get the services that they want and need from us OTs. So I really feel like Medicare B is probably the way to deal with that population.
Because
Or
it's
great.
covered. I mean, they're essentially not paying out of pocket as long as they have Medicare B. It's covered anyway.
Yeah. So
It's
yeah,
just complicated because I think that I don't know, like I can appreciate that you do the construction part. And I don't know the percentage of what aspect of the business the rest of the participants here are doing. But if you're actually, treating people who have fallen or, came home from the hospital or have Parkinson's or have had a stroke and they're Medicare, then you just really can't do both. You have to either do the construction and sell the products or do Medicare B.
I think that Oakley's doing, I mean, he's doing the free OT evaluations and nobody's complaining. I mean, I don't know if he even knows that that's not something you're not allowed to do.
I just looked them up and they do fall prevention, accessibility, and aging in place.
Yeah. And I didn't talk to Justin about this. Herb is the one who told me, this is what Justin's doing. This is what works. This is the business model all of you OTs need to adopt for aging in place. But I'm never okay with giving away things for free, especially us. And we're trying to value our profession, not devalue it. But then Marlene's Marlene's spot on. You can't just give it away. Medicare's not up for, I mean, so yeah. Although the AOTA has a big thing about if the OT is working for a builder, the builder is their customer, so they can do OT evaluations through the builder.
I also feel like Medicare isn't paying you for your skill. Like the evaluation is the time consuming part and putting it together because you've got to be critically thinking. The other stuff is
Right.
figuring out what you need after that. That's easier because you've done the hard part of critically thinking and putting your eval together. And that's what you're just not getting paid through Medicare for your time.
I think, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, Medicare B people, Marlene in particular, I would think if you're doing Medicare B, you're not doing a big evaluation like what I would do, where you evaluate the person, you evaluate the environment, and then you write things up and you give them solutions and designs and that kind of stuff. For Medicare B, I mean, I would think you develop it a little at a time.
Agree, yeah, it's over several sessions. It's not all at once.
Kim asks, can OTs use super bills for clients to be reimbursed? For commercial insurance, you can. I'm such a good reader. So then moving along with the business, well, maybe we should stick on this one for a minute. I don't know. So I'll just keep moving along. And again, we should talk about all this in a lot more detail. I charge for OT evaluations. I try not to touch the aging in place people at all. I typically don't even, I shouldn't even admit to this. A lot of times I don't even call them back because I don't do Medicare and I just don't want to trudge into something that doesn't work. Most of what we do for HMOTA for aging in place, we're working for the adult children. The adult children are the ones that are paying for us. And so we will work with them. But I'm a big fan of talking to Area Agency on Aging and getting paid through Area Agency on Aging. I just got 4 new clients through Area Agency on Aging. I just charge them, you know, my wage, and they just pay it. I don't do any coding. I don't do anything. I just tell them how much time I need. They put it in their system, and then I go from there. I think that's a really good way to get to the aging in place crowd without actually having to bill Medicare. Um, and so Nancy asks, can an OT have an LLC that provides consultations and services for home modifications, but they work with nonprofits? Yes, that's a beautiful way to do things with these older adult home modification program grants through HUD. That's what we've been doing, is partnering with nonprofits and then helping them run the grants, which has worked out really well. They're not real, they're sort of cracking down on us right now, where they only want local OTs, and they are reducing significantly the reimbursement for the OTs, but we've been trying to work through that with them. But there's also other nonprofits, and I feel like with the political with the politics that are going on right now, we really do need to look at other funding sources besides federal grants, because I don't know how long we're going to have them. But I think as the grants start to go away, we're going to see a lot more foundations. So if there's a foundation in your area that you know is serving a certain population, by all means, get a hold of them. And we've got a foundation that serves people with muscular dystrophy. They reached out to us. Now we have our lead OT, Amber, who specializes in muscular dystrophy. And so she's working with the local OTs throughout the country doing these OT evaluations. That's, HMOTA was developed to be a vehicle to bring income streams to the OT members. And so, if you identify some sort of funding source, I'm happy to help develop it. And then, it's something that you can make money off. We had another OT out in California. She found a funding source. She didn't want to be a lead OT, but she got, for the first year we started working with that funding source, she got a commission on absolutely every evaluation we did, which turned into several thousands of dollars for her. So, I mean, there's a lot out there. The other thing is we need to be providing products, especially if we're working in the construction. What I do if I'm not doing the construction is and I'm working with the builder, I will put together a quote for everything that's accessible. The grab bars, sometimes the flooring, the bath enclosures, best bath enclosures is what I like. The sinks, the rope hooks, the faucets, all that stuff. I put in adaptive equipment, of course. I'll put together a quote. This is the quote. This is how, and I hand it to the builder. So the builder will put that into their quote, because otherwise they have to find the materials and price them. I give them the materials, I give them the pricing. When they get the job, they call me. I make sure I give them the materials. I make 30%. We're all happy. So, I mean, that's another way you can do it. And I, not only with like the builders that you work with on a daily basis, but also and this is something I want to start pushing into, like workers' comp. You're doing workers' comp, you do an OT evaluation, instead of giving Amazon links, give them a quote for the different products, and just tell them, tell the insurance companies, we can provide these products. It provides consistency, and it makes sure the client gets exactly what they need. There've been to several different projects where the people just use the wrong products and it doesn't work for the clients. So that's another way. The other thing that Herb and Sean were really pushing was the only way that we as OTs are really going to make money is if we diversify our product offerings. And to me, when they said that to me, I thought, okay, ramps, lifts, accessible fixtures, adaptive equipment. But they said, what about providing financing options? Or he also said home warranties was another one he recommended. I don't know how comfortable I would be with the home warranty in particular, but I mean, those are just other options for us. Um, so I am going to want to talk about these business models in detail. I feel like we don't really have time to do that today. Just been able to kind of go over those different options. And we'll continue to explore, you know, what kind of product offerings would we OTs feel would be helpful. You know, one thing is organization. There's a lot of different companies doing organization, and I think that plays into home mods very well, simply because I know all of us have gone into homes that are unsafe because they're simply a mess and there's stuff everywhere that needs to be organized. So we will be getting more into that. But before we end our meeting today, I really wanted to talk to you all about VGM at home. Kelly Nesbitt, she brought this to my attention. So VGM Live at Home, and I think Kendall's here. Yeah, Kendall is here. They have a builders, and I should know what this is called. They have a building, so let me find it. So VGM Live at Home is a organization that really does a lot as far as builders, but it's actually live at home, not live at home. But the Live at Home is really pushing for aging in place. They have a lot of different builders throughout the country that specialize in aging in place. This VGM Live at Home is really focused on the building and construction industry, but occupational therapists are coming into our own as far as on the national scene. And so I just kind of want to go over what this agenda is. This Live at Home conference is in San Antonio, Texas, November 6th, 7th, and 8th. And the first day, there's just a welcome and welcome hall. But then just to show you, you know, building opportunities, trends. But what really excited me is we've got, for instance, you know, people, healthcare, talking about healthcare, trends in healthcare, overhead lift systems. And then we also had, right here, Cindy Petito is a very well-known, very strong advocate who's an OT, who's doing home modifications and has been in this industry for years. She's going to be speaking. She was hired by VGM, their Live at Home network. So she's going to be speaking quite a bit in this. I also saw that Kendall's going to be speaking. She's also an OT. Mike Foti has been here. Catherine Sterling is also an OT. So there's a lot of OTs that are going to be talking at this this conference. And I think it's a really good way for us as OTs to learn more about building. But I do also think that we should be a part of the conversation with the OTs. In fact, I think I'm going to even get a booth there so that people, if they would like to, can, if they're looking for an OT after seeing some of these great presentations, they can find us. But I want to throw this out here to everyone, and I'm going to send this over to send it out in an email. I put the link in the chat. And if we have enough people who are interested, we'll get a house down there, a HMOTA house. So that way it'll offset the pricing for, you know, staying in a hotel room. We've done that in the past. We've actually done it in lots of different places, but we have done it in San Antonio, where we just get a big house, a lot of bedrooms. Some people have to share rooms. You know, we all eat together, and it just reduces travel costs and it reduces the cost for accommodation. So please, everyone, think about this. I think it's a really good idea for us to learn more about our industry, but also to, when people start talking about OT, because of all these wonderful presentations, that we've got OTs there to answer their questions. So thank you all for coming. Again, we're going to be doing more talking about business models, but I just wanted to go over briefly today before we really dive into things. So,
And this is Kendall, and I just wanted to
yeah.
say, as the local San Antonio OT, that we would be delighted to have you here in San Antonio, and I think it would be really great. I've heard that it's a great networking opportunity because, like you said, Karen, we don't know a lot about building, but there are a lot of great people that do. And so just getting comfortable with understanding the different trades, and it's nothing that we can't do. We just have to learn. And we went through all of our schooling, so come on, we can do that.
Yeah,
But
that's what I think.
anyways, just wanted to say, I hope that we have a good group, a big group.
I see. I do too. I do too. And that again was thanks to Kelly Nesbitt. She sent that over to me. So I'm gonna send some information out on this. I need to get my social media going, so you might see it on the social media too. But you know, this would be a great time for all of us to get together to, you know, do some networking. And also if we're there and there's a national company that's looking for OTs to do home modifications, if you're the OT who makes that connection, then you know you can say, yeah, we can do that for you. We can do it for you on a national basis, and then and get commissions for it or be one of the lead OTs. So I mean, it's a great opportunity. Let's do what we can to really grow it. So all right. Well, again, thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful evening and give some thought about going to San Antonio to the VGM Live at Home November 6th, 7th, and 8th. Have a wonderful day.